Good morning all, and welcome to the SUMERNET training session on conflict sensitivity. My name is Dr. Leonie Pearson, and I'm the research component leader here for the SUMERNET program, and it is my pleasure to welcome you today to a terrific experience that we're going to have. As you all know, no matter what your project is, a joint action, collaborative research, JIRA, whatever it might be, conflict sensitivity is an essential part for all of us to understand and comprehend within our projects. As such, I have the pleasure of introducing again our advisor, who is a local expert in conflict sensitivity across the Mekong, Dr. Sudarat. Thank you very much. Before I hand over to her, I'd just like to remind everyone to please mute unless you're speaking, to please engage when there's opportunities, whether that be through questions in the chat box or through putting up your hand and turning on the microphone and saying hi to everyone. We look forward to listening and to learning and to knowing more about how and why conflict sensitivity is important for all of our projects. And we look forward to hearing your voices about how you are implementing it for your projects. Thank you and welcome, Dr. Sudarat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Leonie, for the very warm introduction. Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm honored today to discuss about conflict sensitivity and do no harm to, and also learn about your research project and discuss how can we incorporate conflict sensitivity in your research projects. You can call me Jan, by the way. So for today's training, we will divide into 4 sections. The first one is we will talk about psychosocial dimension of conflicts and importance of conflict sensitivity. Then we will talk about conflict sensitivity and do no harm to. Later, we will practice by using a case study called Mekong River case study. And last but not least, we will ask the 3 lovely research team to present about their research project, and we will help each other incorporate the do no harm tool in our research projects. So for the training today, we'll be allowed 2 hours. So hopefully after the training, we will be able to identify psychosocial dimension of conflicts, be able to assess divider and connector, apply program analysis, and differentiate pattern of impact. First, I would like to turn you into the source of conflicts that happen in the Mekong and around the world. And the most important one is human perceptions. So let's take a look at this picture. Do you see how many animals in this picture? Can you type on the chat box? How many animals in this picture? Please put your answer in the chat box, please. I'm asking this question because I want to see your perception on the situation or the context, and I will explain why different perception can cause conflicts. Somebody said 10. Can you set number and maybe animal number first? Oh wow, somebody said 12. Okay, 6, 9. Eight. Okay. Anybody would like to answer? Like maybe Shalo. Mr. Shalo, the student of Ajahn Lam Noi. I would like to hear your voice.
I'm not speaking.
Ajahn Lam Noi. Can you tell us how many animals in this picture?
I think around 10, but around 11. Dolphin, dog, mice, horse, Snake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about your student, Charu? Can he turn on his camera and answer the question, please? Because this is the easiest question that he can answer, Charu. Please, this is your time.
He is not my student. Sorry. maybe Saru, but he's not my student.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can ask one of your students to answer these questions, please.
I said, let's see.
You have any student here?
I don't think they are here.
Okay, so anybody else would like to answer this question?
Dr. An. Dr. Trần Đặng An.
Okay, please.
Dr. An. Dr. Trần Đặng An, can you answer? Hello, Dr. An. Are you there?
Okay, well, no worries. So, see, I just want to address that like everybody perceive differently. And you know, like this could cause conflict in the field. And how can you make this to like minimize the negative impact and maximize the positive impact in the field? Are you gonna fight over the thing that you perceive differently, or you gonna work together or try to understand each other? What do you think, Ajahn Lam Nói?
I think that if I would like to convince others, I will show the evidence and slowly explain to them that I see this, okay, this kind of animal, and if have any conflict, can you show the evidence that other animal? So if the student or other can show the evidence, I will realize them and confirm that okay, they are correct.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's very good. You know, but sometimes we just perceive things differently. You know, there are no right or wrong. Conflict is part of human nature. So sometimes you just need to accept that there are conflicts. You know, like now it's a very big problem in Thailand about we perceive, you know, differently. And we did not accept that there are, you know, like different perception. So that's why we have conflicts. So the message here today is we need to listen to our party, like you said, you know, listen empathically, listen and try to understand. And sometimes we just have to accept that there are conflicts because we perceive things differently. Okay, so look at this. The answer is 16. Anybody have the right answer? Yeah, most people did not have the right answer. But we just, like I said, that there are no right or wrong. It's just our perception. And we have to accept that human nature, we have different perception. Okay. Thank you very much, Ajahn Lam Nói, for your answer. What about human cognitions? If I would like you to match between monkey and panda, and monkey and banana, and panda and banana, how would you match? And why? You can type on your chat box or you can answer. Turn on your microphone and answer. We would like to have an active participant today. Maybe Charu, you can talk. Or Ajahn Lam Nói, so how would you match this photo?
This photo is smart because the panda and the monkey eat banana.
I'm sorry, can you tell me again? I cannot really hear you.
They are matching. Is one point is that the monkey and the panda eat banana. Eat banana.
Monkey eat banana. That's how you match, right?
Yeah, and the panda also can eat banana.
Panda eat banana? Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay, thank you. What about other people who think differently? Anybody in the chat box? Mr. Ong Tu from Myanmar? Would you like to answer these questions? How would you match this photo? Somebody said panda eat bamboo. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I think it's depending on the environment that you grew up with, because for me, it's a monkey is more met with banana, because the environment that I live with is I only see the monkey and then the monkey behavior and the monkey environment. So for the panda, for me, I have never seen panda eat bananas for me. So
Okay.
that's why. So I think, for my opinion, my perception, so monkey is more max than panda. If we think about the banana, yeah.
Great
Thank you.
answer. Great answer. Thank you very much. Mr. Michael said that monkey and panda, because they both animal. Yeah, that can be another, like different way of thinking. So yeah, there are no right or wrong answer. For those who matching between monkey and panda and explain that they are animal, you are analytical thinker. You think in category, you match things in category. You are a systematic thinker. And you probably like work in the lab or those kind of things. This because you have been socialized from like maybe your parent, your school, or different kind that you experience to think this way. And for Ajahn Lam Noi, you match monkey and banana because you are holistic thinker. You see the interaction between monkey and banana. And this very good because like actually when we work in the contact, we want to see the interaction between the contact. And for those like who match between monkey and banana, generally we have a lot of study that they better in work in the field work because you see the interaction between yourself and the context. So if you really want to explore more about this study, you can read the source here. They have countless study on different kind of thinking or cognition can impact your thought and things like that. But like again, I say that there are no right or wrong. It just depends on our thinking and socialization. But for today, like I said, that for those who match monkey and banana, you are trained in working in the field work and the contact. But for those who did not answer this way, you work in the field lab and you have your own strength too. So we should work together, collaborate and work together, That is how we, like overcome the conflict. It's not like competing with each other and try to argue what is right or wrong. Okay, I hear some voice. Anybody want to say anything? Yeah, so I hope you get the message. The message here is everybody think differently, and we need as a peace builder, or researcher, we need to use advantage of people thinking. Some people are analytical thinker, some people are holistic thinker. We need to collaborate and work together instead of fighting, and try to find a way that, oh, I'm right or wrong or something like that. Use the advantage of each other and learn from each other. Yes. So what about outer source of conflict in the field, in the macro? We talk about perception. We talk about cognition. What about need? You understand your need. You understand your participant need. You understand your stakeholder need. You all learn about Maslow hierarchy of needs. Everybody have different needs, Your needs today and your needs tomorrow are different. So this is very important that you try to understand your stakeholder and boundary partner needs. What about emotion? When you went to the field, you understand the emotion of people that you work with, especially now we work in a topic of water insecurity. They might have a lot of negative emotion that could cause not only conflict but violence. If you understand this, will help you minimize the negative impact in your field. What about the value? People have different value. Some people might take Mekong River as like the resource that you can just like take, and then just live. or like somebody value Mekong River as like a spirit or a soul it's just like a life, a past of life or something like that. If we understand people different value, we will be, like try to minimize the negative impact also. Ethic. When you work in the field, you understand different group of people that you work with, because a lot of people work with the ethnic minority or marginalized people. They might have different ethics than us, or maybe like you are policymaker, they might have different ethics than us. If we are aware of that, we can try to avoid the conflicts or violence in the research also. Personality, this is also a big thing. You understand your personality. Are you those kind of person who activate, who easy to get straight out, or or calm or something like that? You can try to adjust, when you work in the field. These are the psycho factor that's like people not generally ignore. But if you try to understand and aware of this psycho factor, it will help you mitigate the conflicts. And what about the social factor? We talk about policy. Policy can impact conflicts, Now, yesterday, like Dr. Leonie's session, you're talking about policy of the COVID, like 19 that limit the traveling. And this could cause conflict when you work in the field also. What about the environment? Water pollution, the droughts, the flood, the environment situation that you work with in the Mekong. If you understand, you can mitigate, like the conflicts. Human rights and gender, we will talk about this, different, we will talk about it in different sections, but maybe we need to understand the power between men and women in your research context, power between different groups in your research context. So if you understand that, you can maximize your, positive outcome on your research. Economy, again now everybody affected by COVID and very bad economy, and this could pose like a bad situation in the Mekong River. So if we work in a kind of like a negative water insecurity situation, negative situation, we need to be aware so we will not have harm in our research project. Power, again, do you understand who had the power in your research context? The policymaker, who doesn't have power in your research context, and how you exercise that, Yeah, poverty, this is a big issue in Mekong. In Thailand now, allow like 8 million people drop out of middle class, become poverty. Thailand is one of those countries that like people are getting poorer, and those people are along the Mekong River. How can we help those people without, make the negative impact to outer parts of the society and things like that? Social media, this is very big thing. All the fake news or misinformation that we see around the world, or the news, how can you trust, the source that you have and things like that? And if we understand all these things, social factor, will help you avoid the conflicts in your research project. So these are like a sort of conflicts in the field work that you have. And you should be aware of this by trying to understand each element of this. If you have time, if you understand this, you will be able to minimize the negative impact and maximize positive impact on your research. Now let's talk about conflict sensitivity. What is conflict sensitivity? Conflict sensitivity is ability for a researcher to understand the context in which research is operating, understand the interaction between research intervention and their context, act upon understanding to minimize its negative impact and maximize its positive impact. So actually, conflict sensitivity had many approaches. The most famous approach is do no harm. And we will use do no harm today because I believe that Mekong River, well, conflict have different stages. Now in the Mekong River, we are in the conflict prevention stage. That means that we have a little bit of symptom, but we're not really sick yet. We haven't had violence yet. We are in the conflict prevention. That's why we use do no harm and conflict sensitivity, you know. But if we turn into like, if we have conflicts, like a violent state, we might use peace and conflict impact assessment. Maybe some parts of Myanmar might use those kind of things for the peace builder researcher, you know. And then they have other like other method like better programming initiative, we generally use in the violent area also. And also another method is conflict sensitivity program management. I think these three approaches I talk to generally used in a very violent and conflict area. But for us, like I said, that we are in conflict prevention state. So we use do no harm today. So do no harm is introduced by Mary Anderson. She's a practitioner and researcher in the field of like a development and humanitarian field. She worked with a lot of, you know, like a lot of peace builder and researcher from around the world. So you can read her book, Do No Harm book. But this book is generally used in for practitioner. But for me today, I will apply with you in a research context for the researcher. Let's talk about do no harm. So do no harm is, like I said, is a conflict sensitivity tool. Do no harm had 4 analyses. The first analysis is context analysis. The second analysis is behavior analysis. The third analysis is program analysis. And fourth is option analysis. We will go one by one today. And do no harm have 6 assumptions. The first assumption is when we enter a contact, we become part of the contact. The second assumption is every contact is characterized by divider and connector. And the third is our research will interact with both divider and connector, make them better or worse. The fourth assumption is our research interact with divider and connector to our behavior and implicit ethical message. The fifth assumption is the detail of research intervention matter. Six is we as a researcher, we always have options. So let's analyze the context analysis one by one. And I would like your input also. So let's go by first assumption. When we enter a contact, we become part of the contact. As a researcher, become part of the contact is unavoidable. When we enter the contact, we or our activity will begin to have effect beyond our intention. The question for you to consider and to answer today is, do I understand my research contact? If not, how can I learn? Who would like to answer these questions, please? Dr. Lam Noi, would you like to answer these questions? Do you understand your research contact? If not, how do you learn?
For understand the research context, we understand because can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's not really clear. Maybe I should turn off my code.
Okay. For the context of the analysis, because our project are doing the interview with the stakeholder, especially for the decision maker and vulnerable people. We understand the context, and the first in our context, we are try to deal with the local authority first. After that, local authority agree for us to work with vulnerable people, then we go to work with vulnerable people. During the routine of work, we are confirmed by the formal letter. We are informed by formal letter and the confirmation from local authority. After that, we go to further for interview, and during in our implementing project, we still not yet get any conflict. It still smoothly. However, we can predict that if have any political problem or any issue, we can recognize from beginning. Then we will find the solution immediately. If the risk happen, until now it's been fine for our team in both in three countries, Vietnam, Thailand, and Laos ค่ะ
Sorry, Achan Sudarat, you're on mute.
Yeah, I said thank you very much, Dr. Lam Noi. It's very good answer. Whoever would like to answer these questions, please share. Dr. Omin, you want to answer these questions? Share with your colleague.
Dr. Sudarat, we saw Nang Shining in the chat box answer your question.
Oh, okay. Need assessment, it needs consulting. Need assessment, it needs consultation meeting with relevant stakeholders. So very good, very good. Yes.
Thank you, Atan. I think if we have enough time and enough resources, we should go to the field and also do survey at the same time. And if it is possible, we should also consult with our stakeholder. In this way, we will know what is their needs and what is their concerns. Then we can design our project. And if our project is very short and we don't really have some resources to conduct a free trip, maybe we can also do the the secondary data. We can search on it, and we can also based on the secondary data, we can also find out what is their needs and what is the contact of the project what we are going to do.
Yes, great job. Yes, you can always do pilot study and talk, with your stakeholder, like Dr. Nang said. Dr. Tan, Dang, Ant would like to answer this question, please. Oh, okay.
Hello, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. I think that before we thinking about a research topic, we would understand the situation in the field, and then we can thinking about the context of the research that may lead to the final proposal. But of course, as you know, that it's something like contact not so clear. We have to make more interaction with our border partner and other stakeholder, make clear what they need and what we have to do for that. I think it is kind of process, make clear our content during research and make more impact on the reality rather than theory. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you. Dr. Omin would like to answer these questions.
Yes, thank you very much for the chance. So I think it's also depend on the research area and one country to another. I think and also depending on the problem that the way we try to understand our content is maybe differences. But I think, for example, for me, so in our Myanmar, so the current research that we are going to conduct, the way we approach to understand our research content. So for the interest or key stakeholder and getting issue on the policy agenda, so we going to think about the idea how interested in open our policy actors to your issues and what kind of evidence we convince and something like. And then for the public opinion also. So I think you have to think like how does the public engage in this issue? So we try to understand. It's better to try to understand the public opinion, and also like the capacity and engagement of other actors. It's better to try to come out with the idea like who have to engage in this policy area and how influential are they, and what can be done to involve others, something like that. And also for the change in discourse among policy actors and commentators, so to come up with the idea like what are the influential policy actors saying on this issue and what languages are they using, something like. And for improvement in the policy making procedure and process, it's better to come up with the idea like who is consultant during policy making and how is evidence taken into account, something. I think if we can come up with this kind of idea, I think it's we can understand what kind of research or our research content, I think. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yes. Yeah, generally we can do the literature review, but like many people say that sometimes it's hard to find a literature review or something like that. And we have to talk to our community, our boundary partner, to understand the context. And then maybe sometime like Ajahn Nang said that maybe we need to do the pilot study if we have time and resource, so we can learn about the context of our study. So anybody have raise your hand? Dr. Min, did you raise your hand? Okay, so let's go to the, okay, Dr. Min, please. Yeah, we can do stakeholder mapping too. Thank you, Dr. Nang. Okay, let's go to number 2 question. What service that I transmit to the contact that either increase or decrease equality in that contact? Anybody, do you understand the question? What service that I transmit to the contact that can either increase or decrease equity in that contact, in your research contact? Anybody want to answer these questions? Yes, Mr. Ong and Tan, please.
I think it's better for you to tie up the questions because sometimes it's.
I had it on my PowerPoint.
Yeah, but, yeah, it's hard. It's hard for us to follow. But in response to questions, I think is just something just to add to the first question that's raised. Yeah. In terms of the context. We've been discussing a lot about interactions among different stakeholders. Of course, when it comes up, before we started the project, we had to understand, kind of contextual understanding. We had to build up the contextual understanding using some kind of literature, secondary data, until we conduct like a pilot study or blah blah blah, different ways of doing things. But I think it's equally important to understand the values or international context, the norms or the culture, the language spoken by the community. For example, if you do context in a certain kind of ethnic groups in a mountainous area, for example, like the local people can speak they speak the different language from our language. So how can we understand that? And the culture, because those people, they practice different culture from ours. And then all kind of things, if you just bring all the things together, it makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, how we get started with that before we go to the field? What kind of knowledge we have to build up, we have to be equipped, by from ourselves to get the kind of the entry into the field. So for us, that enables us to better understand the context. So those kind of things, like, of course, the language here, I mean, it's not like, for example, Thai people speak Thai or Vietnamese or Cambodian. This is these different things. Like the language here is like they speak the language that makes sure people understand each other. Like in terms of emotionally, not the language like at the kind of level of nationality, but here it's like we have to make sure like sometimes like informal, the non-verbal language or the like the facial expressions, all kind of things we should think about, because of course, like it's very context specific situations, like, you know, if you conduct a study in Thailand, it should be different from the case that you do in Vietnam or Cambodia. So I guess before we do that, we had to play out everything on the table and try to, you know, provide a mapping of all things, and just get prepared for yourself, like all kind of things before we go to the field. And yeah, make sure you feel that you're confident to understand the concept before you. Of course, we learn a lot of process. It's just the beginning, but then a lot of process interacting with local people or stakeholders in the field. Well, outside of that, you conduct a study, the more we understand, you know, and of course, that helps a lot for you, for us to achieve our projects at the end of the day. Yeah, just kind of very general reflection. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so for question number 2 is what service that I transmit to the contact that either increase or decrease equality in your research contact. Anybody want to answer this question? Please. Somebody said choosing the right team, also part of the consideration. Thank you. Anybody want to speak? Yes, Ajahn Nang Chin, would you like to speak?
Yes. I think, as I said earlier, choosing the right team also very important. And also, for example, if we choose to do research in one village, but our research assistants have some conflict earlier, and if we don't know, and maybe we bring our translator, maybe we bring our research assistant from other village to our research area. I think it also can pose some conflict among outsider and our target group.
Yeah, that's great. That's a very great answer. Yeah, you know, like we and our partner can be a service. We, you know, like we as a researcher, we can be the service. We work with them. Our behavior can be part of, you know, those things that can increase conflicts in the field, can create inequality in the field also. Even our tool, you know, like questionnaire, survey, all those kind of things, if we don't consider well, it can increase and decrease inequality in your research context. So that is the point here, is we need to, before we go into the field, we need to make sure that we understand that our research process will not, you know, contribute to like inequality in the context. The research process can be asked as a tool, you know, like our different kind of tool, participatory action research, you know, those kind of things. Yeah. So anybody want to answer or like elaborate more on these questions? Somebody said make sure that all team members to understand the project activity. That's very good. Yes. Okay, so now let's look at the assumption tool. Every contact is characterized by divider and connector. Divider are those factors that separate people and increase equality in a society. Connector are those factors that bring people together and increase equality in a society. So the question for you to consider here, and I would like to ask you here, is what are dividing factors in your research context? What are the connecting factors? Can anybody help me answer these questions? Remember the sort of conflict that I talking about earlier, the psychosocial dimension of conflict that can be both connector and divider. Let's start with the connecting factor. Do you think who are your connector in your research context? Can anybody answer these questions? Dr. Lam Noi, would you like to answer this question? I think yesterday you mentioned a little bit about the connecting factor in your research project.
Yeah, I would like to tell that my the connecting factor in my research is the pupil. For example, for our survey, the hit of the village or the hit of the team leader of the village in the community is very important. When we connect them, they can support us to connect to other household very easy, and they can answer the question also very well. If we cannot connect the connector from beginning, our efficiency of work is reduced so much. This is the one important. The other important thing is for the connector connecting us also the incentive like the bonus for the meeting, like some candy, some sweet, or some small gift for the stakeholder, local stakeholder. So that is easy for us to approach them to ask the question. Also, they are cooperate very well. And the third is I think that for the attitude, the very friendly attitude, and like the opening for discussion also very important for like the connecting factor. If we do not good, if we ask the question with the not friendly, the attitude or something, maybe they will the local people are not willing to answer, and it will reduce the effectiveness of the work. Yeah, it is my part.
Yeah, very good, very good. You have answer very thoroughly. Whoever would like to answer this? Yeah, Ajahn Nang Chin Ning.
Yes, I want to share about the dividing factor. Maybe
Yes.
social norms also can be a dividing factor. For example, if we go to the village and we don't realize their culture, their tradition, and some value of them. For example, the women, in fact, they really want to share, but in the big group, maybe they don't want to share because they are shy, or they have some how to say some limitation to express their concern in the public. So maybe we also have to consider, if we are interviewing with women, what kind of their what are their gap, what are their needs. And I think without knowing their social norm and their value or their culture, it also can be the hinder.
Yes, very good, very good. Thank you very much. I think Mr. Omin is raising his hand. Please, Dr. Omin.
Yes, thank you very much. So I think for my ideas, I think it's depending on the level that you engage in your research. Because if whenever you have the option to engage with the government, I think in that case, we have to think like a general administration department, because GAD in our Myanmar it's a very important actor and connector among the government institutions. So, but whenever you have the option to go through the community level, so I think community leader is very important for us. It's the main connector for us.
Yes.
And if you think about very village levels, I think like Nine Shining discussed before, we have to think about their culture, their norm, and their I think something like that. We have to respect their culture and their norm. In that case, the villager leader and their head leader, their traditional ways are very important and very important for the connectors. I think. In conclusion, I think it's depending on the level that we engage in our research. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Very good. Dr. Nang, would you like to speak again? Yes.
Oh, yes. To follow up with what Dr. Min-U said,
Yes.
We have different level of the divider and connector, and the government and the policy can also be the divider as well as the connector. For example, before we go to some area, it is a restricted area. We need to get a permission, or we need to get some letter from the government in order to go to the trip. So if they allow, and if they can be our connector, and if they don't give us permission, it can be our divider as well.
Yes, very, very good. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you.
Yeah, very great point. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. Yeah. Yesterday, I think somebody mentioned that they use their student as a connector because their student can speak both Khmer and Vietnamese. And that is very good approach also. You know, I just want to share from yesterday's session. Yeah, so can I have another PowerPoint, please, so we can see the another questions? Because now I don't have PowerPoint. Or somebody else, Dr. Min and Dr. Nang would like to, because you guys raised your hand, you want to speak more? Okay, Dr. Nang, you can speak, please.
I have no more, Ajahn.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then I can go to another questions. What are the value? I'm sorry. What are the values that may differ between groups? What are the values that share among groups in your research context? Maybe somebody already answered this, but if you want to share more for those who like try to understand the concept, yeah. Let's answer first. What are the values that share among groups? You understand the value that share among group in your research context? Yes. Yes, Dr. Nings. Dr. Nang.
Yes, yeah. Ajahn, I think the share value could be like listening to each other and mutual respect. I think it is our share value.
Yeah, that's great. And what about different value? Can you analyze different value in your group? Do you have any different value?
Yes, yeah. We may have different value. For example, like people in remote area, they prefer to wear the clothes like very how to say, but in the country, people would like to wear very freestyle, but when we go to the field, in the remote area, people like the way they dress. It's maybe different. I think it is how, I don't know how to explain.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Yeah, it's different value or like culture custom and the dress. Yes, yeah. And thank you very much. Very good answer. Anybody would like to share more experience from another country? Maybe Vietnam. Yes, TT. Please. Tong and Tang.
Okay. Yes. I think is apart from values, I think we should consider adding the interests, because when people engage in a group, because people we come together, and the way to interact with each other, and it reflects not only their identity, their values that they carry with them, but also the interests, because people want to see or want to seek something, when they get something for themselves. For example, entrepreneur farmers or decision makers, or government officials, experts, together, and of course, they have different identities and different, of course, we had a code, values behind it, something we cannot see. But the key thing is, at the end of the day, people want to seek something, they want to achieve something, and that affects the relationship among them. And the way that we come up with the consensus or not, or the conflict or consensus, depends on the way how much we negotiate their interests among themselves. So I think is something to add is like not only values or identity, or I think it's interests is something we should consider. Why we, for example, like as a researcher, is one way or the other, it's important for us to see how they are, how different they are, in order to successfully facilitate the discussion among different groups. Yeah.
Yes, very good. Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah. Okay, you want to answer more? Dr. Thong, An Thang?
I just did that. I just finished.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Very good point. Interest is very big in conflict resolution also. We have to share interest. So what about the assumptions? Number 3. Our research will interact with both divider and connector, make them better or worse. Our research can have a negative impact or positive impact. Hence, researcher needs to be aware of unintended consequences on divider and connector. So the question that I would like you to kind of think and answer here, share with your friend, is what's political or economy or technological or cultural system that increase tension between groups in your research context? Yeah, you can answer once, either technological, economy, or cultural system, or if you can answer, or you can also, yeah. Please share with us, with the other people. Anybody would like to share this point? So the question is, which political, economy, technological, or cultural system that increase tension between groups? Yep. Or what, Like, I think that, let me share. I think that technological, like social media, increase tensions between groups a lot. Because like I mentioned before, that all the fake news, that's like going on around the world or in the Mekong River, that can increase tension between the group of your research contact, among your research team, because I think that everybody receive information differently and their attention is differently, so that's why technological, especially like social media, fake news can increase tension, now. So what about other things, like political or economy or culture that can increase tension between the group? Can anybody answer this? Dr. Nang, you want to answer? Or maybe it's too sensitive?
I will answer later, Ajahn.
Okay.
I'm still thinking about it.
Okay. Yeah, just one, like you can pick one, political or economy. Yeah. Ajahn Lam Noi, would you like to answer?
Yeah. For me, all the factors are important and can be affect. Let me put one is the cultural system. For example, when cultural system, when we conduct the interview, the woman we conducting the group discussion. In that group, we have to explain, we have to discuss with the woman. However, they are more stressful and tension when in the group have a lot of men and also have like the people, authority people with the higher level. When at that time when I ask the woman or the lady, they are not willing to answer. However, when it only woman discuss with woman and very friendly attitude, they will answer and they will immediately respond to any question or any concern from them. Another situation is for the economic, like when we conducting the survey in Mekong Delta, if we have appointment with them, they will have to spend around 2 hours or 1 hour for us. However, when we conducting the group, we cannot go to every household, and we have appointment with group of people. In this group of people, they mentioned that okay, if I come to see you, I have to travel around 10 kilometers. So could you please give some small money for my traveling, because if I load time and also pay for example the fee for gasoline go to meet you, I will spend more money and also load time. So they for the economic, they are poor, so they need small money for encourage them to meet the researcher. In that way, our team normally give them a small money for gathering and also small gift and confirm with them that okay, if they come, we will give the gift for them. Okay. This is my experience share during the project in Mekong Delta.
Yeah, very good point, Ajahn Lam Noi. Thank you very much. Yes, we learn a lot from you. Yeah, Miss Dr. Tan Deng Ant, please share with us your experience or your thought. Dr. Tran, you can speak now. Ka.
Hello, Dr. Dang, and you can please turn on your mic now.
Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for this very good question. I think this refer to this question. It depends on the. I just mentioned about the political and economic issue, tension between among group. For example, boundary partner and also the policy marker partner, they more focusing on the political issue. For example, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. So for boundary partner, they mentioned about they pay more attention on the political issue or tension because, for example, our study make clear whether the agri chemical impact on the rice production. You know, this is very critical issue. If the answer is yes, so how can we show this for the public? Because they may strongly affect on the rice production or exporting over the world from our country. That is one very important point. And also for the private sector, like agri-chemical company, they would like to sell more product to those farmer. But when we are answered yet, this agri-chemicals has strongly, seriously impact on the farmer health and other like human health issue. So maybe they have some intention, very high intention on the how they can sell the agri-chemical product. And also the for farmer, also the similar thing is economical issue is when they have some like unhealthy dry or other agriculture production based on our research, sharing information. So that maybe decrease their income because they cannot sell anymore the agriculture production. So kind of thing we have to make more carefully and make very good sense.
Yes, very good. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's it. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Very, very good. What about, oh, you want to answer more? Okay. So anybody want to answer these questions? Okay. So now maybe we can look at another questions because I think that's 2 or 3 participants had shared very good point already. So the another question is, have groups experience a past or historical event differently? You know, in your research context, maybe you are marginalized group, ethnic minority, different ethnic minority experience things differently. Do you aware of that? That is the question. So anybody want to share this? Have group experience a past or historical event differently in your research context? Group mean like different group that you work with, different ethnic minority, you know, or even like stakeholder or things like that. Anybody want to share your experience? Maybe you need time to think, huh? Dr. Lam Noi, would you like to share your experience?
For this situation, I have only experience when I not ethnic people, and also not for the marginalized. I have experience for when I doing the survey of the impact of flooding to the community. During at the same community, however, with the people with higher income, the flooding doesn't affect at all. However, with lower income, with the low quality of house, the flooding, the water go into the house and affect a lot of people. During at the same community, however, different income will bring a very different level of effect to the people. That is my experience.
Yeah, very good point. You know, like don't have to be ethnic minority. Maybe men and women, you know, like they experience things differently, you know, because cultural norm or things like that. So if we are aware of that, we can be, you know, like try to avoid the conflict in the context. Yeah. Anybody else would like to share? I see somebody raised. Kim on Dr. Kim.
Yes,
from AIT.
thank you.
Please.
Yeah, it's very interesting training section. Thank you very much. And I was thinking about conflicts of interest. Like in our project, it's for deposition project. So it means acid deposition from like thermal power plant. And when we talk about thermal power plant, of course, the power plant want to use coal, which is cheaper than natural gas and more straightforward. But then they emit a lot of pollution, and then the community and the people would be affected by that air pollution, for example. And further talking about climate, because it emits a lot of CO2. But then in one stakeholder, it means the emitter, the polluter. Another one would say suffering, like the community we are going to analyze, they are downstream. They will be affected by air pollution, climate change, and also acid deposition. And our project is focused on acid deposition. And I see, if seeing it carefully, that we would see a lot of conflicts in that context. So that's why when we do like the in-drone boundary partner or try to to conduct the activity, we also carefully design questionnaire and the survey so that that conflict could be actually minimized somehow. and let them be connected rather than dividers. So that is very short, and my project is more technical though. That's why I'm not very active in this kind of discussion. But I think there is conflict in place. Thank you very much. I cannot hear you.
Hello, Dr. Sudarat.
Okay, yes. I said that you had a very great point. Thank you very much for your, sharing your experience with us. Generally for the water pollutions or air pollutions, generally who have effect the most is the poor. Because the rich gets the resource, they can, say for example, like they can buy water from elsewhere, but the poor cannot buy, so they have to deal with that. So yeah, they're experiencing differently, like the poor, the rich, the man, the woman, different ethnic minority, you know what I mean? So this is thing that we should aware when we go to the field work. Yeah. Anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, so let's go to the PowerPoint and see another analyze. I think behavior analysis. Yes. So now we finish with the context analysis. Thank you very much, everyone, for sharing your experience. It's very, very good, and we learn a lot from you all. And now we will go to the behavior analysis. Yeah. So behavior analysis is there are predictable behavior patterns by which a researcher interact with conflicts. Our behavior interact with participant, boundary partner, and outer researcher have direct consequence on the context. These behaviors are also called implicit ethical message, includes respect, accountability, fairness, transparency, are useful in identifying how positive and negative pattern of behavior can have impact on our research projects. So, like the do no harm, they have like recommend positive behavior or principle. They have 4 principles: respect, accountability, fairness, and transparency. In SUMERNET, we also have our ethical, like ethical value also, or like a research ethic that have 6 principles: integration, respect, responsibility, competence, social equity, and ethical balance that Dr. Leone and Mr. Michael has established that you can follow. When you follow this, it will help you, like what you call help minimize the conflict in your research. So the question here is, do you track behavior pattern of your research team over the course of the research project? And how? Well, anybody want to answer this? Well, if you trust them, you don't have to track their behavior. But sometimes, but if you think that like, sometimes we track their behavior so we can learn, from each other also. So have anybody have any experience this? Like track people's behavior or track our own behavior, Anybody want to share? Dr. Lam Nói, you want to share?
I don't have an idea in this behavior. I think in our research it's normal. The behavior is a not critical issue. As I mentioned that if we work with friendly activity, they accept it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think Dr. Lam Nói mentioned before that like she has a very positive behavior and very good team dynamics. Like I say that like if you trust your team, you don't have to track the behavior. And sometimes you can, like me, I track my own behavior because like my personality is I'm a kind of like easy to get activated. So sometimes I track my behavior, so I'm not gonna make other people angry or something like that. You can do that also, you know, because we work with people. So sometimes, you know, like we need to understand that our personality or our behavior can affect other. Yeah, that is the point that I would like to share. Yes, what about Ajahn Nang, Chin Ning?
Yes, Ajahn. Normally, as our team, we don't really track behavior of our team because we put trust on among us. But we always make sure that before we go to the field, we already have a team a meeting, and we already reminded of what is our value. Our value is like mutual respect. We have to give how do they support each other, and we have to behave very well. We have to respect no matter who they are, but we have equal. We all are equal, so we have to respect to each other. So it is our core principle, and
Yes.
we often mention about it when we have a meeting, a group meeting. And one thing we can also track track not track kind of a set principle how to be how to be responsible for what we are doing. And we also all the team member, we have our own planner, and on this planner what we are doing, what this kind of thing, this is somehow not related to the ethical consideration, but somehow what we are doing and what we are responsible for our work. So we have planner, and we put on the planner what is the main activity, what is our significant thing, what we have done in this week or within this month. So we have this kind of record, and we also share to each other. So it means that we also are transparent in a way that what we are working, and we also already remind each other to respect, to have a mutual respect among us and among our team and our stakeholder.
Yes, very good, very good. Thank you very much for sharing your like a positive, you know, organizational culture or like teamwork and the principle, you know, like that you work in your organization. Everybody have your own, you know, like what do you call ethic, you know, in your organization that you can follow also, you know. Yeah, I think somebody was answer. Raise your hand. I think Dr. Pichamon. Dr. Pichamon, would you like to speak?
Sure, thank you. And I'm sorry that I can't turn on my video today. I guess going to the slide that you'd shown just a moment ago, on it said suspicion in one column and trust in the other. I suppose I have both a comment / question, which is that I feel like some of these, well, at least for these two, suspicion and trust, would you say it depends to an extent on the stakeholder group that you're speaking with as well? Because I feel like if you're speaking to, let's say, illegal loggers, for instance, or businesses that are perhaps involved in some rather controversial projects, having a degree of suspicion, not to say that you would show them any disrespect, but to have a degree of suspicion going into the interviews or your engagements with them so that you yourself don't get unduly influenced by stakeholders might also be quite important. But I would be curious to hear what you and others think when it comes to actual implementation of these principles. Like, how does one balance between a healthy sense of, you know, curiosity and need to investigate further and trying to maintain that trust with stakeholders?
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for, you know, like your concern. Well, actually, like I said, that this is the principle of do no harm that I think Dr. Mary Anderson and her team was, you know, like try to establish according to her observation or her research or something like that. But like I mentioned before, that every organization have your own, you know, ethical message that's suitable for your research context. So like you mentioned that in your research context, maybe suspicions would be good for you, then I think it's suitable for your research context. That's great, you know. Like Ajahn Nang earlier that's mentioned about her principle, respect, transparency, that's suitable for her, and that is great also. Yeah, you know, like this is just like a ethical principle that Dr. Mary Anderson established, you know, like, and I mentioned before that SUMERNET also have a research ethic principle that's maybe like SUMERNET as a research team can follow, like integrity, respect, responsibility, competency, social equity, and ethical balance. That is your question, ethical balance. How can we balance all these things, you know? And this is depend on your judgment and your research contact and your work together in your stakeholder, try to analyze this, you know, like, yeah. So anybody want to help elaborate on this? Yes, Mr. Michael was mentioned about his training on the November 4th. So please join him on November 4th. Join us, like 3 of us, Dr. Leonie, Mr. Michael, and us. Yeah, maybe he has more like answer to this. Yes. So if anybody want to share about your ethic or behavior, okay. So if not, we can go to another. Yes, do no harm, but do good. Yes, sure. Yeah,
Dr.
please.
Sudarat,
Yes.
sorry. Just jumping in, I was wondering if we would like a 5-minute break now for people to gather their thoughts, and then we could come back and then move on to the next question. Or were you thinking? Okay.
Sure, yes, we can take 5-minute break. Maybe like in 5 minutes, 10:50, we can come back.
Excellent. That sounds great.
Thank you very much, Dr. Leonie. Thank you. Everybody here now? Can we start it? Well, before we start, I have an announcement. Well, on November 4th, Mr. Michael will present about the ethics. So if you would like to learn more about our research ethics, you can register on the November 4th. Yes. So now let's start with another questions, please. Thank you. Can somebody put the slide up? Thank you. So maybe we can go to the next slide. Now we will talk about program analysis. Assumption 5 is the detail of research intervention matter. A program analysis helps us unpack all detail of its intervention so that we can understand how these details interact with the context. So the key question to consider is, who are we working with? Who will benefit from the research? Who will not? I think the main question that we should consider is, who will not benefit from the research context? You know, because those people who don't get the benefits from the research context, they might fight against you later. So that's why we need to analyze, you know, who will not benefit from the research. So anybody would like to share, you know, like your experience on this? The first question, who are we working with? Who will benefit from the research? Who will not? And for purpose of the conflicts, I would like you to analyze who will not, because who we working with is we know, but who will not, that can cause conflict later, you know. So anybody would like to share your experience? Ajahn Lam nói, would you like to share your experience? Are you here?
ค่ะอาจารย์สมัยค่ะ we work in our project. We work with major partner. When the can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
In our project, we work with boundary partner. The boundary partner is a vulnerable and marginalized group. The second is a local decision maker. The third is a water provider. The fourth is a NGO and CBO. For the CBO is the community-based organization. In all the people, on the boundary partner, they are benefit from this project because this project is a water supply, domestic water for the people. However, it means that the people will not affect will not get the benefit from this project. Maybe the people already get the enough water supply. Currently already enough water supply, so they don't care so much about that. Who are still lack of water supply, who are still can who are did not provide the water supply enough in project, but it is not like not very real, not very clear. The conflict because the water supply, domestic water supply, is for all the people. So in my case, when we provide more water supply, all the people are get the benefit. However, I think that if like when we conducting, for example, if we expand the water supplies, expand or we contract or in the local area contact more water treatment plan, for example, like that water supply plan. They will be conflict with when according to the planning, the people some people will load land, and they how to say, they will call like the resettlement some people we occupy the land for constructing the water treatment plant in the area. In this case, some people have to move there to load, have to move, or maybe some people have to move move the house to other place due to the land for construction. In that case, some people will maybe conflict, not agree with the expansion of water supply system. However, in Vietnam, in this situation, the government also have good negotiate with the people load land, and they will have a reimbursement. They will have a fund. The government will pay the money for resettlement of the people. This is a little bit sensitive. In Vietnam, but it's not clear in like not is not main conflict in our project. However, to deal with this, the local authority, it is normal situation in Vietnam, and the local authority normally deal with this situation for the own construction, especially for the public, like the for the some water treatment plant and other public construction, and still right now we don't like record any very big conflict between the people have to resettlement and the benefit of water treatment plant provide to all the people ค่ะ This is my sharing ค่ะ
Let me share my experience. 10 years ago, when I was a student at Chulalongkorn University, I did a master degree. I did master thesis about evaluation on EGAT's Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand CSR policy, corporate social responsibility, and in fact, it is objectively, I framed the research question, but somehow I was told that it is not subjective research question. It is not objective question. It is subjectively framed. That's why when I'm trying to interview I work closely with the community in Datafang village along the Danrin River Basin in Thailand, and I also I was working closely with some NGO, but it is very smooth when I conducted the interviewing with the villager and the NGO. But it was very difficult when I tried to contact with EGAT. Somehow they said they will sit interview with me. Finally, they canceled. Until the end of my research project, I did not get to interview any of them. I did not get their counterpart response from the EGAT. So it is my experience.
Ajahn, you're on mute.
You on mute.
Yeah, I try to understand them clearly. That's why I mute mine. Yeah, thank you very much for your experience, Ajahn Nings, and I'm happy that you did not run into conflict with the EGAT. Yeah, yes, thank you for your experience once again. I think somebody want to share. I think Dr. Van Pan, would you like to? We would like to hear your voice. Can you share with us your experience?
Good morning.
Oh, okay, Dr. Van Pan. Good morning. Yes.
Good morning. Actually, our project has not been conducted yet, but we think to avoid conflict between who get benefit and who don't get benefit from our project, we think we will work with the numbers of farmers, and then by what they have learned from our project, they can share, they can discuss with others, and then later on farmers in the community can gain the benefit from what we have done. And for doing that, we hope to avoid the conflict among farmers there. So that's my idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody want to share more? Okay. Otherwise, we can move to the next session because I think we don't have much time now. Okay. No. Another, yes. So the second question is, what are we doing? What are we doing acceptably for all groups in the context? So the question here is, would like you to reflect on what are we doing and what are we doing is acceptable for all groups in the research context. Like I think the gender advisor had emphasized on, we have to work with both men and women. In your research context, do you think that you work with all groups? If not, do you want to share or you want any suggestion from your peer? How can you integrate, different group into your research project or something like that? So anybody would like to share this? Maybe some friend from Vietnam or Thailand. I haven't heard from Thailand yet. Okay. Ajahn Lam Noi, would you like to share? Or everybody understand this question so we can move to another question?
Yeah, we should move to other question because most of us that work with both men and women.
Yeah,
and,
great. Yes. Okay, thank you. So yeah, the third question is, when is our intervention take place? Are we starting activity at appropriate time? This is the question for you to reflect again. That's better like you start your activity in appropriate time, especially during the COVID. You know what I mean? Yeah, so like anybody want to share? This is more like a reflecting question for you to maybe go back home and think, and if anybody want to share, you can. Otherwise, we can move to another questions. Okay, Dr. Omin would like to share his experience. So Dr. Omin, please.
I think it's the question 1, 2, and 3. I think they have related to each other. I think because whenever. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Whenever we conduct the research, we always think about, especially our research we conduct about the water scarcity. We think about the water. Water is important for everyone, not only monetary value, but also non-monetary value. So in that case, I think it's a very important for one and benefit to all of the participants and all of the boundary partner. Like if we go find the policy gap, I think it's a good for the boundary partner for their policy development, and also good for the local people for their water security. And also, I think it's a good time for us to approach our research. I think at this time because we can learn a lot from the COVID-19 impact related to our water scarcity problem. So I think if we can learn from COVID-19, like an example and the bad example for us, I think we can think more for our future, for our water scarcity, for our water security, something like that. Yes, thank you very much.
So Nương said that you can unmute your microphone if you would like to speak. So thank you very much, Dr. Ong Min, for your experience and your thought. So let's move to question number 4. Why are we doing this? Why we are not doing something else? Why us? Can anybody answer these questions? This might be related to the ethic principle on competency or competence. You know, anybody want to answer this? Well, I will share with you. My student said that like he has to work with this issue because well, he want to work in the hospital. He want to conduct a research on the cancer patients and their worry or their anxiety. And I said, why you? And he said, because I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm the most competent to work in this issue. And that is the good answer. You know, why are you working with this issue? Because you're the expert on this issue. This is the answer. So like, you know, the question for you to reflect. So number 5 is how we will do all these things. How will we know or when we finish with the interventions? Can anybody answer these questions? How will we do all these things? How will we know when we finish with the interventions? Yes, Dr. Ning. Yeah, I know you're not a doctor, but I will call you doctor because you share.
Thank you, Ajahn. Yes, for the program analysis, it is usually what we are doing when we plan for our research. When we design for our research plan, we always have to consider all these questions: what, who, when, how. All these things are included in our project design. So I think we. Most question might most answer might most question might be already answered in the project design or maybe the project proposal.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay, so I think we have. So let's move to another option analysis. Assumption 6. There are always options. We can always learn and improve. If we see we having a negative impact, we can make adjustment. If we see we are having a positive impact, we can sustain it or capitalize on what we are doing right to build up on it. So the key question for you to reflect here is, what is working well for your research implementation in this context? Should we analyze new divider, connector, behavior pattern, and interventions? So these are questions for you, and your team member to reflect, after the training, whether you want to, like change or you think it's already good. It depends on you guys, and your team. Yeah. So if you want to share, you can, share. Otherwise, we can move to another sections. So anybody want to share about your experience on this? Or after you learn about do no harm today, and you think that you're gonna go and change something, or you think it's already good? Dr. Lam Nói, would you like to share with us?
I think in this situation it is like a very routine when we are doing the research, because when we, for example, we doing the surveys and we are developing the questionnaire for the survey from beginning. However, after we go to the field, we think that the questionnaire is not appropriate and we can revise it, and we revise it, and after that we come back to the field observation in another chip. So we are doing an adjustment and improve it. It is a very routine in our implementing project, and I think every project, especially for the field chip project, we are doing in that in that way.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. Can you share your experience? Maybe Yan Yong, Imang can help share your experience. Mr. Yan Yong, would you like to share your experience with us, Ka?
ครับ Yeah, อาจารย์ I think this is when we entering in the research activities, we may face a kind of kind of conflicts of interest, or even happened before from the right start. But we should kind of understand it, the context, and we better adjust to kind of try to avoid that kind of uprising something, and try to move or find other way around it, and go for the positive impact.
Yes, thank you very much, Ajahn Yan Yong. Yes, so I would like to leave you with this. For those people who implement their projects or conduct research in their research project in a conflict area, like violent area, they generally use do no harm. They allow do no harm to like maybe every week, because situations change, the conflict dynamic and things like that. So they have to change. So generally the research team will try to analyze and reflect on these two, every week or every month or something like that. So just keep in mind that maybe like if you go into like situation that you thought is like a conflict sensitive or like gonna have some conflict, you can come and look at this guideline and then see, like how can you change and adjust, how can you learn from this guideline or something like that. But like I said, that now Mekong River is in a conflict prevention. We are trying to prevent the conflict. So like, yeah, so this is do no harm is a good approach for you to go and use, Yes, so for the presentation today is end, but I think we have another section called the case study. I think that we don't have time for this, but I will give you the PowerPoint and you can go and learn and try to answer these questions. And if you want me to like give you the answer, the real answer, you can contact me, Yeah. If you want to do this exercise, like the report case study, because we have another important sections. That's like our 3 research team will. Can you go to another slide, please? Yeah, thank you. So I think this is more important. Like we will do the collaborative learning. Like we will have 3 research teams to present about their research projects. And we together will help them try to incorporate the do no harm, the conflict sensitivity in your research, in the research projects. So any team would like to go first? Dr. Lam Noi, would you like to go first? I think you part of the presenter today.
Yes, I can go first.
Thank you.
I share my presentation, right? Can I share from here? Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. I am sharing. can you see my share?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Good morning, all ladies and gentlemen. Today I would like to present our project research. Our project research is named Integrated Assessment of Domestic Water Accessibility for Vulnerable Community in Lower Mekong Basin. Lead of this project is me, Dr. Lam Noi from Southern Institute of Water Research. The team leader in Thailand is Dr. Anggun Rajamalan, University of Technology Lana, Chiang Rai, Thailand, and another lead of a project in Laos, Mid Oravang, National University of Laos. This project will already start from May 2020, and it will be implementing. It will be implementing until middle of 2022. It's almost 2.5 years. In my presentation, I would like to present the very briefly about research context and rationale of study. The second, I would like to present the research objective, the very briefly methodology, and after that we will present boundary partner, participation, and benefit theory. And after that, I can give a little bit time for question and discussion. But I think we are now very time very limited, and I will present very quickly. In our research context, we told that in all Lower Mekong River Basin, we have around insufficient domestic water, both quantity and quantity. We also have inequity domestic water quality for the people, and we focus on because domestic water for all the people, but in this research we only have time and limitation for the focus on vulnerable and marginalized group. In this, we would like to contribute to significant of improved policy and practical in addressing the water insecurity challenge through the collaborative research. And in this project, we also would like to cut growth of the theme of SUMERNET 4. And in the case study, we would like to present all the 3 case studies in Lower Mekong River Basin in 3 countries in different contexts. After in different research in different contexts, we will compare in 3 case study and provide the optimization or the optimized solution for the reduced water insecurity in our region. In the research context, we would like, as I mentioned, we would like to focus on vulnerable and marginalized group, and we define vulnerable and marginalized group in our PowerPoint. So we propose the BEEP policy to reduce the domestic water insecurity in research area. We will focus on the priority of investment domestic water infrastructure in near future. For the rationale of our study is conducted based on the rationale of study. The first is a VNM group do not access to stable water supply, or the quality is not good enough for our for domestic water use. The second is that policymaker, decision maker do not have enough information about the current and future projected water quality and quantity in study area. The third is that policymaker and decision maker do not have enough information or capacity about the number of locations of VNF group in the study area. And the final is that the result of integrated assessment will support local decision maker to translate water insecurity adaptation and mitigation measure into change of design and operational assumption about water supply, about water demand, and water infrastructure construction performance in near future. We are doing the recommend the policy to the decision maker for reduce the insecurity water. The research objective we doing the main research objective of us is to reduce water insecurity water for VNM group in Lower Mekong River Basin through integrated assessment of domestic water accessibility and proposing domestic water security policy and strategy. Security policy and strategy will focus on priority of the water infrastructure investment in the near future. For conducting this project, we are doing the research with 5 steps of research methodology. The first, we identify VNM group. The second, we have to review existing knowledge of water related issue and resource policy in the context of climate change. For the second, we will identify the main factor of water insecurity issue in the 3 provinces. The province is Bến Tre in Mekong Delta, Vietnam, Chiang Rai in Lower Mekong Delta in Thailand, and SUMERNET in Laos. We will in step 2 we will conducting based on the field observation and stakeholder engagement for raising the issue. We will find what is the main issue in 3 provinces at the province level. After we find the main issue of the water insecurity, we will conduct rapid assessment focused on accessing water security for domestic water of VNM group in Lower Mekong Basin. In rapid assessment, we will access in the province level. It means that we cannot do the survey for whole province, but we do rapid assessment for conducting the access of water security of water insecurity issue in the province level based on the secondary data and the stakeholder engagement, especially interview of key stakeholders. From the rapid assessment, we will find what district in each province is critical with the issue of water insecurity, especially the issue of domestic water. So we will choose the pilot case. The pilot case is a district level. Each province we will select a district for piloting, for conducting integrated assessment of domestic water accessibility for VNM group. We hold the pilot district. Each district will be selected for per province, and we will consider in different water resource and availability scenario. For the conducting integrated assessment, we will calculate on the indicator to show why it is security, why it is not insecurity, and when we will compare 3 countries among three pilot case in 3 countries, what is problem, what is the main problem, and why at the same current situation, but 3 countries when the issue happen different. From the finding from
sorry, Dr. Lam Noi, sorry to interrupt,
yes.
but you have like 1 more minute to wrap up your presentation, if you can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So after this is a briefly methodology. So in the step 5, we will develop the investment priority and policy in 3 countries. For the project partner, we are for conducting this project, we find out on the main project boundary partner in Laos, in Vietnam, and in Thailand. For the expected result of this project, we would like to expect that the impact result is improve health and sanitation of VNM group due to improve safe clean water domestic. Safe and clean domestic water supply in the target area. The beneficiary risk in our project is the VNM group, local decision maker, water provider, NGO and CBO. The outcome challenging in our expected result is that propose the research finding to policymaker intend to see the consider investment and priority and policy measure. The second is that we recommend the finding to water supply provider to provide more the water for VNM group. The third, we recommend the NGO and CBO to support VNM group to have a increase awareness on water conservation. And the last, we discuss and recommend the NGO and CBO for supporting VNM group to seek the financial support for water supply in this area. This is all my brief case study. Thank you so much for the attention.
Thank you, Dr. Lamnoy. That's an excellent summary of your whole project at this point. Dr. Sudarat, do you have any questions?
No, I just want another presenter to present, and then we will try to discuss and conclude, after the 3 presenter. Yes. Thank you. So what is next? Who is the next presenter, please? Because we have limited time, But I think that today we learned a lot, and I think most of you guys can understand, do no harm now. So yeah, please, just reflect on that. But now I would like the next presenter to come and present, and then we will try to help.
Thank you. We've just got the slides for Dr. Min Woo up there. So if you would like to be ready to present, that would be great.
Thank you very much. So can you see my screen now? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Oh, yes, sir. So I will go very briefly and quickly, a little bit quickly, because of the time we get. So I think our research is listening to the voice and the margins, lesson from the COVID crisis for our water security. So I'm Min Woo. I'm just a research system for our Myanmar team. So our country partner in Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Thailand, and Vietnam. So the PowerPoint can move.
I will put up your presentation for you. Don't worry.
Okay. Next slide, yeah. Okay, thank you. So our goal is to find an effective way to improve access clean water for drinking and hygiene for the vulnerable people on the margin and listen closely to their voice. Yeah. And next slide. Yeah, our objective is to document story of how marginalized people and women and men respond to the impact of COVID-19 in terms of also water scarcity, and to document and analyze the view of document expert and policy actor how to address the issue, and also to identify the key similarity and difference in perspective among the actors. Yes, next slide. Yeah, this slides I have already mentioned before. So to compose our research proposal, so we normally in our Myanmar teams, we come up with this kind of ideas like I discussed before for the interact or key stakeholder in getting issue into the policy agenda. So how interact one policy actor, open our policy actor to our issue, and what kind of evidence we convince them. And then for the public opinion, so we come up with idea of how does the public engage in this issue, and also for the capacity engagement of other actors. So we also come up with who acts is engaged in this policy areas and how influential are they and what be done to involve others, and also for the sharing in discourse among the policy actors and commentators. We also come up with ideas like what are the influential policy actors and say on this issue, and what languages are they using, something like this. And also for the improvement in policy making procedure and process, we also come up with the idea like, so who is consultant during the policy making, and how is evidence taken into account. Yes, this is our idea how to link the issue to policy and how to shift the impact, especially how to shift our goal. Yes, next slide. Yes, in case of boundary partner, so you will see that for the boundary partner we approach, so firstly we have to think about our study area. If you look at our study area, you will see two types of study area. One is rural area, another urban area. For the rural areas, we have study area 1 in Shan Highland rural area in Shan State, and then the area data in the lower part of Myanmar. And for the urban areas, our study is surrounding Yangon urban and suburban area. So in that case, because of the different area, we have also think about our boundary partner differently. If you see in the yellow circles, before we engage our main boundary partner, we have to engage GAD, like I discussed before, province or township general environment is very important for us, because if you look at the tax and responsibility, GAD plays a key role in coordinating and convening and monitoring government activity. That's why our priority boundary partner is in our entry level is GAD. So from GAD to approach our rural area, targeted area. So from GAD, we going to approach our key boundary partner, Department of Rural Development, because rural development is a key actor who providing drinking water for rural area. That's why this is the main key boundary partner for us. And from then we going to approach our rural area, our target area, but not like this one. So if you look at the right hand side, so in case of approaching to urban areas, not like the rural ones, our boundary partner is Department of Municipal Affairs, because even the same problem we approach about like water scarcity, water problems. So in case of urban areas, municipal affairs is the main actor for us, not like Department of Rural Development, because the urban area we focus, because he is the main actor for urban planning, water supply, and sanitation. That's why our boundary partner is changes depending on our study area. So from them, so we can approach our urban area water scarcity issue. So from that rural area approach and urban area approach, so we can go through to our expected outcomes. But to approach this, our method is, in briefly, we are going to use quantitative as well as qualitative one. For the quantitative questionnaire surveys going to use, and the qualitative, we see structure interview, like a key informative person we are going to interview. But due to the COVID-19 crisis, so we planning to use, we have already used our method like an online platform survey, like a Zoom, to conduct our survey and interview and a consultation with them. And so this is all for me. Thank you very much for everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Means. Can we have another presenter, please? Dr. Rajapat. Dr. Rajapat.
I believe we have Dr. Yang Yong.
Yes, I can do instead
Thank
of
you.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and I'm pleased to give a very short presentation. Our joint action projects called participatory list management. It is for the implication for Ban Pai city, Thailand, and that's we are group from Mahasarakam University and Ratchamunkla University, Northeast Thailand, and our boundary partners from the Central Communist Department of Water Resources and Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation. So that's our key partner, and also the provincial and district and local governments also down there. That's our boundary partners, and we see that many secondary city in Thailand now are kind of high risk to flood, and because they got a very limited resources, and they got a limit kind of budget revenue, manpower, technology, know-how, etc., etc. So that would be a high risk, unlike the big city, and that they are kind of yearning for to cope with those any consequence from the flood. And good example is in the Ban Pai city is of Khon Kaen province, northeast Thailand, situated on the Mae Khong basin. So last year during the Saturday weekend, so the whole city, was sunk or inundated by the flat floods. So people climbing to their roof top, and they crying. So that big incident there, and that the people never see this happen before for 100 years. So this is only just happened just last years, and even this year is still kind of shaking. And we also found that the local, district, and provincial government authority, they got a very limited capacity to, reach out any helping hand to those victims, and surprisingly, and we found that clearly those community groups, civic, or a kind of people, or a kind of youth group can help and make a difference by helping those victims, communicating and etc. And or even they bring in a kind of food, water, thing like that. So this is a very good one. So good example, and we also kind of understand and try to explore, and also found that the country flood preparedness and emergency response function very poorly to cope with the fast floods, particularly during weekend. So the government agency shut down in every that, and people got to do to help by themselves. This is a kind of our kind of notice key message to us to do this kind of project. And our joint action project would like to explore whether the flood preparedness and emergency response should open to include any civic action or any kind of media from the youth group, for example. So that really because now the law, policy, regulation that limits only to the role of the government agency. Next slide, please. Hello. Next, yes. We the particular roles of our researcher and partner, and also those flood victims and civic and youth group, and we planning to learn and share experience of the last year flood in Ban Pai here, and that the worst case in Thailand ever, and we try to explore any gaps and missing link, and even we studied some kind of policy and plan of the government, but we would like to see views and from those victims and civic response to whether we share the same kind of values, or we kind of any points that we see the same, or any difference, or any more issue to be drawn. And we also would like to draw any good practice around our countries, and also from the government, both from civic action and the government's agency. And after that, we also observe that the emergency response tool from the government very complicated for them. For example, those lay person, they cannot understand the kind of sophisticated early warning system, and also the risk management tools to flood there. And also we try to kind of initiate any concert action, particularly flood risk management, for the public, private, and also that community groups to take action in a very kind of good manner in the city flood prevention. And next slide, please. We plan to do a kind of research method. The method we use, like we review document and interview key informants in the city, and that particularly those victims, and also we will review again about the policy and plan of the local, district, provincial, and national kind of department who doing with this, and also we will conduct field the sites observation, focus group discussion, interview, and those impact groups, and also community groups, and we will use the vulnerability and risk analysis, and we will center around the Sendai framework, and that very new to Thailand also in practice, particularly those local government, district, and provincial government, and we will bring our group and our victims and our kind of local government partner, provincial partners, things like that, to organize co-learning and co-inventing the kind of any user-friendly of early warning system and tool for the flood risk prevention, and also we will propose any action on kind of before, during, and after the flood events. And last, we think that if we kind of analyze those kind of evidence and action, and tool we formulated, and we will organize policy forums, and that we bring key partners and key stakeholders to come and inform them and consult them and influence them for change for the flood risk management in urban setting in Thailand. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all the research team, Dr. Yan Yong, Dr. Min, and Dr. Lam Noise. Well, the goal for the presentation today is for each of us to learn about each research team, research contact, different research interventions, and how different teams deal with the, work with their boundary partner to deal with the problem, in their research. And when we learn from each other and work collaboratively, we can help minimize the negative impact in the field and maximize positive impact in our research. This is my conclusion for today. So if anybody have any questions, you can ask, or you can send me an email. Yes, yeah. So I'm not sure that whether SUMERNET Secretariat, would like to conclude or anything, but once again, thank you very much. I think that's for sharing your experience today. I think we learned a lot from each other. Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Sudarat, for a fantastic research training on conflict sensitivity. I think we all learned a lot about what we can do within our project, but also how we can start to think about different reasons, rationales, behaviours, attitudes for conflict sensitivity in all the work that we do. Thank you very much. Before we go, I would like to remind the participants that we do have a survey after each of our sessions so that we can all learn and identify how we can do further training that's more effective and more efficient for meeting your needs, but also for delivering great access to information for the SUMERNET program. So Agus has just posted in the chat the survey link. If you could please jump on, just follow the link through and it will provide you with the questions for the survey. It's very short. It's also anonymous, so we will not know who responds and what your statements are, but we certainly do know that we appreciate the input that you can provide so we can provide better training. Just while you're doing the survey, I would like to remind everyone that Dr. Sudarat has identified she can answer further questions or queries, that the slides also will be available. And we have a recording of this session as well. I know that it was a very rich discussion, particularly early, and also that sharing of projects I thought was really informative. So we will be sending around a link to both the slides that we've seen today and also the recording of this event so that you can come back, just check on some elements or perhaps even further send a question or two through to Dr. Sudarat. I know I'm very interested in that case study we didn't get a chance to discuss. You know, why do the herdsmen move their cattle and who and what are our conflict binders or those? So I think I will be following up myself. Is there anything else that you would like to say, Dr. Sudarat? You're on mute.
Well, I just would like to thank everyone for sharing the experience and thank you, SUMERNET Secretariat, for organizing the meetings. So like I said, that if you want to any question or anything like that, you can always contact me on my email or something like that. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. อาจารย์ค่ะ อาจารย์สุรทัศน์ Thank you so much ค่ะ
Thank you
so much ค่ะ
Thank you, Karen. Thank you very much from all of the participants here. I know that there was a lot of really great responses and I know that we've all learned something today. So with that, I would like